it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. It has been some time because life happens, and this didn't happen. I was having a lot of technical issues the last time I was here, and I think that just added one more thing that I didn't want to have to figure out. So we're attempting something new today, and I've got my phone connected to a monitor because I don't know how you people film without being able to see, to check, to make sure everything's in frame. So we have some crazy little setup happening. So that's, thing number one. We're hoping everything is going to go off without a glitch. I don't really understand how things aren't mirrored on the screen because I feel like I'm mirrored, but I'm not sure. So we're just going to go with it, and I'm going to hope that everything works, and just know that even though I've been filming for over 2 years, this is kind of like number one again. So another thing that's happening in the house today is, those of you that follow me on Instagram know that we have added 2 little kittens into our house. They were sleeping when we began this setup, but they have since woken up. So we have Porter and Ale. They're pretty cute. I really wanted to be drinking a beer today because we named our cats after beer. But I don't trust them with liquid around my stitching yet. So they are currently in the floss tube studio here with me today, or my floss tube room, whatever we call this little area of my house. They are playing on my sewing machine table and going nuts. So the other little thing with what we're doing right now is I am not able with my phone to connect to my microphone. I usually have like a high quality mic that we're using. Can't do that today. So if this works and this is the way we're going to film, I'll get all the accessories that I need to have a little better audio. But today you're just getting straight iPhone. So bear with me. I have been stitching a ton. May was a really, really kind of low stitching month for me, I think. We're gonna go all the way back because I have this little bin, like this, it's an antique magazine holder rack from an antique store. And when I'm stitching on something, when I finish stitching on it, I just put it in this bin, and then that shows me that I haven't showed it to you on FlossTube yet. So I've just been putting project after project after project because I haven't filmed in a very long time. May was a tough stitching month for me, but June I took off. June was like, I'm pulling up my stitching count thing because I have to know exacts. Let's see. Sorry, I should have had this up. She just took she's scaling. This is gonna be totally distracting. Ale just tried to get to the window ledge that she will not be able to get to that way, but she's trying. So June was, really low month for me. It was the lowest of the year. So, but May was the lowest. June was my highest. I stitched and stitched and stitched, and I just kept going. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but stitching was absolutely my column in June, and something that I needed to process to get me through my days. So I have a lot to show you. I have a lot of finishes. I have some stitchy happy mail that I got. I do have some like haul and stuff like that too, but I'm not even gonna get into that today because if this doesn't work, I don't want to have talked for a long time and have to redo it, and B, I have a lot of other stuff to show, and we'll get there. Hopefully, you know me, and I keep saying this is going to be a regular thing. So I won't say it, because maybe if I don't say it, it will actually happen. They're the most mischievous little kittens ever. Brandon got me, so we lost Pandy in May last year, or in May of the year before, and then in February of last year. And we said no more cats. You have heard this story if you've been subscribed for a while. But Brandon, for my birthday in February, told me that we would get a cat. And then we started looking for a house, and so we decided we needed to hold off until we were settled, and then the whole pandemic happened, and it was getting really difficult to find a cat, and the process in Ohio was like really intense, and like the application process was just very daunting. And I've always done like SPCA and rescues and things for my cats, and I just didn't know, it just was a lot more involved than we were used to. And we ended up with Kia and Nathan. We had been down for Kia's birthday. We got invited by Nathan we were hoping to surprise her, but then our house said, no, we're going to make you go down later. But we spent a very safe and secluded weekend at their house with Pam and Steph and Kia and Nathan, and it was delightful to be around some friends. But they mentioned, and as we were talking, that they had a contact for a cat rescue in Indianapolis. So we randomly got hooked up with this lady, and I told Kia every problem I have, I'm just going to take it to her because she seems to fix it. They are now investigating the patterns that are on the floor, so I feel like it is only moments to happen before one of them scales up my shoulder. Yeah, it's gonna happen. So we got connected up. The lady that we were talking to was asking what kind of kittens we were interested in, or what kind of cats, and she had these two, and I said the feistier the better, because somehow I haven't learned. I'm not sure why that is. But we ended up with the two, and they are teeny, teeny, tiny. Ale is a little under 2 pounds, and Porter is about 2.5. Ale gave us a scare this weekend and was not eating, and we had her to the vet yesterday, but everything seems to be looking okay. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, they're good to go, because we're a little bit smitten with them. She's making the boxes slide. So Watson also, those of you that know, we also have a dog named Watson. She is doing incredible with them. She was always okay with our cats, but she wanted to play, and then the cats didn't know how to respond to that because they were old and not into a little rambunctious dog. So I think bringing these guys in as kittens was the thing that Watson needed. She needed them to kind of be the ones to approach her instead. So it's been amazing so far. So we are very, very happy little kitten owners, and it is making life in our house a lot more fun, which is good because we're going to be in our house for a really long time. So where do I want to start? When I last filmed, I'd mentioned that I was doing a Sal in in conjunction with Craft Gallery, and they had reached out and they wanted to know if I maybe wanted to Sal and do the model for this Teresa Kogert pattern. I don't really look at letters a lot when I read. I just kind of make up words as I go. So if I butcher names, it's because in my head I've just made it say something else. Sorry. The whole language, it's not how you should teach your children to read, and I am the example of why you shouldn't do it. But we were stitching this one, a teeny garden. And so I started it, and I posted some on Instagram, and I struggled because I was stitching it on a piece of 32 count Lugana. And I don't typically stitch on Lugana, and I think I'm stitching something. There's a couple factors. I don't usually stitch on 32 count, and I also don't usually stitch on Lugana. And I'm actually stitching a project I'm going to show you later on 32 count, but I'm using one thread. And I think if I had started this with one thread, I would have been much happier with my results. But it was becoming like this chore for me to stitch it, and I just was not finding peace and happiness with it. And so my mom and I were talking the one night, and she's like, well, you started it. You got, I don't know, maybe a third of it done, a quarter of it done. I don't know how much I had done, but she said she would take it and she would finish it. So so she did, and she knocked it out in no time because my mother is amazing. Have you met her? If you haven't, you really should. She's my favorite. But she knocked it out. So we have this piece completed, and it's a teeny garden, and look at the little dog and cat. It would have been very apropos for me to do it with my life, but it's very cute. So this will be going back off to Craft Gallery. It is from the Celebrate book by Teresa Kogert. There's not an R in there. I just found that out by looking a little closer. I do know Craft Gallery still has the book available, so if it's something that you're interested in, please call them and mention me and that you saw here. So it was a fun little stitch for what it was, and I think I'm going to go back and do it again for myself on fabric that's more my speed, maybe. I don't know. I have so many projects, guys. You can notice there are some holes on the whip wall because I did finish some things. So that was kind of cool. Another pretty cool mail thing that happened was I got this box in the mail. It's huge. It's huge. It's like, and it's chock full. Mendy had messaged me. I don't have her last name up, and I don't always like to say last names. I don't know if anybody else does that. I don't know. I've worked in fields where I have to be confidential for so long that I'm like, am I allowed to say this? I'm not sure. She messaged me and said that she saw that my mom liked Noah's Ark's patterns. I think she saw it from Pam and Steph and wanted to send my mom a couple of them. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's so nice. Sure. You know, she would love it. It would be a great surprise for her. Well, this box comes, and I mean, it's just pattern after pattern. A lot of them are Noah's Arks, but a lot aren't. This one, like, I love this one with the ship. But then even some of the Noah's Arks are like really hard to find ones too. Like, I should have pulled them out beforehand and I was getting everything ready. There's a Teresa Wentzler in here. What? See, that's another name. I have no idea if I'm saying it correctly because in my head I've incorporated letters that are probably not in it. There's the Carriage House one that has the black background. That one's hard to find. So I was blown away. Mendy, my mom was blown away. Like, she has seen this. She comes to me yesterday. She's like, well, you just filmed so that I can say thank you. I was like, you can say thank you without me filming. But she was waiting. So we cleared that up. But unbelievable. I mean, I've said, the generosity in this community is just, I do love it. I also, during one of the 24-hour, the only 24-hour stitch-in day that we had at the craft gallery last year, I met Laura and her mom. They came down from Indiana, and we became quite friendly. I mean, so we've ended up, we do some FaceTime chats, and we have started a sal together that I'll show you a little bit later, but we bonded over Halloween stitching because there was one year she only stitched Halloween. I was like, yes, we are right on the same wavelength. And so when I stitched the Primitive Needles, the Halloween game board, she was doing the Parcheesi one. I can show it to you. She was stitching this one, so we said we'd swap them. So, because Primitive Needle you can't find. So, I finished mine, she finished hers, we swapped. So I got this, but she sent along some other goodies. So I also got this Chessie and Me. And this Kathy Barrick with owls, because I love owls. And this is the chart is on here, but it was, I think it was a freebie. It was a complimentary chart from Kitten Stitcher. So, another Primitive Needle. So I was so excited to get that kind of stuff. So it's been a good stitchy mail month. I did get some other stash in the mail. Oh, I'm not talking about stash here, so, or haul or any, I don't know what I'm talking about. Trying. There's a little bit of delay on my monitor end, so I'm hoping that things are still going smoothly. So I'm going to just, I can't see how long I've been filming. Sorry. Okay. New setups and I don't always really work the best. Brandon's ready to divorce me right now because I get a little tense when I go to do this. I think that's another reason why I also was like, I just can't right now. News and announcements that are happening. It is a 24-hour weekend this weekend. Hello, how did that happen so quickly? Didn't we just do this? So, couple of things. Emails are going out to the people. I've had the list of people that won the patterns and things and the drawings from the last time we did a giveaway thing. I'm terrible at giveaways and I apologize profusely. It is not, it's totally my fault. I'm just not great at it, but I have everybody pulled, and I'm gonna get emails out tonight to let you know that I need your addresses for the patterns and the needle minders and all that kind of stuff that we did for the last marathon. So if you filled out the response form, you'll want to be checking your email. That kind of works. So check your email. I'm not going to do a this person got this and this person got that. We gave away, I think, 21 or 22 patterns plus some needle minders plus, I think it was 18 patterns, a few needle minders, and gift certificates. So we're going to be doing a gift certificate to Craft Gallery, a $24 gift certificate there, and also $24 to Allison Rosen's shop. I'm going to pause and I will be right back. Brandon, my phone needs to be charged, plugged in.
That's a shame.
I know.
I can't. I'm tied down.
Because I don't know if it even is filming right. I think it's still filming, but I can't see anything because it just says low battery. Okay, I think I'm back. Apparently you need to plug in your phone before you start filming because you run out of battery fairly quickly. Or, I mean, I've already been rambling for 19 minutes, so. Check your emails. That stuff's going to be going out. It is a 24-hour weekend this weekend. It is July 24th through the 26th. So, if you can join in, please join in and stitch. You do not have to stitch for 24 hours. You can if you want. That was our original goal, but it's just kind of a marathon stitching weekend. So do however or as little as you want. People will be posting progress pictures and things on Facebook. If I have any other specific announcements related to the weekend, we will hop on and do a video here or possibly a Facebook or YouTube live. I need to have another collab meeting with my mom before we do it. But what we're going to be doing is we are stitching July. It's Christmas in July. So we're going to be doing the Prairie Schooler Santas. My mom has collected all of the patterns throughout the years, and I've always wanted to have a Christmas tree with all of them on it. So she's going to let me stitch the odd numbers and she is going to stitch the even numbers, and we are going to fill my Christmas tree with Prairie Schooler Santas. So we will be getting that all around, and we are going to watch Christmas movies as we do it, but we're really trying to do the non-traditional Christmas movies, so you may be surprised with some of our picks. So that's going to be happening here. We're actually going to be doing it at my house. So our plan right now is we're going to start probably the afternoon on Friday, hopefully by about 1-ish. I have to clock out of work early because on Saturday I actually had a training pop up that I need to attend. So we're going to have to take a break in the middle. So we will not be going consecutively Friday into Saturday. Maybe sometime we will do a consecutive time again. I'm not sure. We will stitch a Santa per movie. So kind of like we did last time, where we filmed movie updates instead of hourly updates. We'll be doing that. We're gonna do it at my house this time. So it should be fun. We should have a lot of cat entertainment. So who knows how much stitching will actually get done, but what's more whips? I don't know, because I've been on a starting all the things kick, but I did finish quite a few. So this is a good segue into finishes. That's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do finishes, and then I'm gonna show you some of the things I've been stitching so that I can clear out this bin and start refilling it. So one of the first things I finished, got on a kick, I was still trying to do that ABC challenge for the 24-hour planner. I'm no way gonna make my original plans, but it's flexible, so I can still change them. I picked really big projects. I thought somehow in my infinite wisdom, I thought I could finish a peacock, a unicorn, and a badger, and his eyes on the sparrow, and cardinal point sampler, and map of Hawk Run Hollow. I stitch a lot, but I still have absolutely no concept of how much I can get done. But this was my choice for V, and this is Vintage Animal Sampler by Jeanette Douglas. I stitched it on 40 count legacy with all the called for. I did notice that I forgot to stitch, there's some flowers right in here that need to be filled in. This is why I love taking pictures of my stitching, because I actually notice it more in the picture than I do when I'm looking at the stitching itself. So I just have to finish that, but the stitch date finish is still counting. I'm a rebel. Not really at all. Not rebellious. My mom, I went to college, and I went to a very small Christian college, and my mom, the first week, I somehow got stranded at a mall during a flood, and then I went dam jumping with a whole bunch of boys, and she was like, "Who are you, and what have you done to my daughter that follows rules and doesn't?" That was my most like rebellious stage of my life. Early, I don't remember when I sometime in June, I believe I was working on this. There was the Stitching with the Sisterlies, I believe is their channel. Hopefully I will link things below. If I'll try. I have a lot to do tonight, apparently. And Brandon's gonna have my computer, so I'm not really sure how I decided I should do all of this tonight, but it'll happen. They decided to do a sal of the Teresa Kogut United We Stand, which is the two little girls. And so I know Emily Eclectic Possessions and a few other people were joining in, so I jumped on when I saw it, because I think this is just a very precious pattern. I did some color changes. So I did darken skin tone. There is a great skin tone conversion chart. I'm gonna mess that one up too. I will link it. If I don't link it like right away, I will try to go back and put links on afterwards. But if you look up the DMC conversion chart, it's the first one that comes up. So I did change the color of the skin tone. I also changed the colors of the dresses. So I went with Brethren Blue for this and Mulberry for this dress. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I don't remember, I think it's 40 count Ren is what Picture This Plus that I ended up stitching it on. And I'm telling you, I just like stitched and stitched. This is probably why I got so many stitches in June, because I just kept trying to finish it. Those dresses were like heavy on the stitches. So I gotta finish on that. Then when we went to Kia Nathan's, this was the project that I took with me to work on. This is My Friend's House by Blackbird Designs. I started this for Madness this year, and I did all the called for colors except the blue. I changed to Midnight by Gast and the red to Lancaster Red because it's what I had. Do not remember what the fabric is, but it is a 36 count something. Also, in the original pattern, there is some over one initial work because it was originally designed to be done like with a friend's initials in mind. I didn't really have anybody that I was stitching this with, or I wasn't doing it as a sal. I just really liked the sentiment, especially since we were buying a house and gonna have a space. It says the ornament of a house is the friends who frequent it. So, and then down here, it was supposed to be the two, I guess up here over one, it was the date, and then down here, it was supposed to be the two initials. So I just put my initials in the year. It was a very fun one, but there were a lot of color changes, so it was a lot of consistent color change. So then I finished that one, and I was like, I just want to finish some things. I just want to get some stuff done and be able to clear off some of these whips. So I pulled out things that I thought I could finish. This was actually the cue for my my ABC challenge, and this is Halloween Quaker by From the Heart, needle art by Wendy. I love these. My mom just finished the Patriotic Quaker, and if we can, I'm gonna splice a photo in here of her finish. So she just got that one done, and Wendy actually commented on my Instagram and said that she was in the process of designing Quaker bees, which, hi, I love stitching bees. For those of you that don't know, my maiden name was Barenbaum, and it's very long and hard to say, but I was a teacher, and my mom was a teacher, and she went by Mrs. B, and then when I started teaching, I went by Miss B. So I didn't do bees in the classroom, but B is very, like, it ties in. So I kind of gravitated to doing the bees as well because that's what my mom stitched, and So I'm so excited. So she's actually I'm gonna be getting a pattern to share with, like, to show you guys, and I'm gonna be stitching it. And her stuff is really fun. I've done this one, and I've got these little birds. Let's see, I actually can see it from where I'm sitting. So give me a second. This is her series as well that I've done. And I've done, I've done three of them. This is I don't remember, I think it's Bluebird, Cardinal, I don't know, I'd have to look. But I've done three of them. I had another one, I think I did four of them and thought I was all done, and then there's another one I found. So I have the chickadee, it's kitted, but I haven't started it yet. So yeah, she's got some really great designs, so definitely be checking her stuff out. I will try to link her shop below. I got a finish on this one. This is coming in a little blur. There we go. This was a snowy night. It was from one of the just cross stitch Christmas ornament issues. I literally only had the back stitch to do, and when I kitted it up, I made a mistake on my project card and didn't have the number for what that was, so I didn't pull the floss, and I didn't have any right there, so it just sat. So I just pulled the floss and got that finished, and it's a sweet little ornament. I love Prairie Schoolers ornaments. This is 40 count lambswool. I think it's probably you'll hear more about my connection with Prairie Schoolers and 40 count lambswool during the 24-hour weekend. I'll let my mom have that one. And then I got a finish on Foxview by Plum Street. I started this for Madness this year. I want to stitch all of the series. I stitched Goat Load with Emily for her birthday 2 years ago. I don't know when it was. And yeah, it wasn't this past March, it was the March before. So I did Goat Load, I've done now Foxview, and my goal is I'm doing them on 36 count, but I want them all on a different fabric. And I'm going to finish them into pillows, which means my mom is going to finish them into pillows. And I do have, we took over all of my stitching that is finished and played with frames the other day or a couple weeks ago. And she sent me a picture and she was like, here's Brandon's framing. It's like one thing that needs to be framed. Here's my framing. It was maybe like 3 or 4. Here's your framing. And it was like 8, 9, 10, 12. I don't know. So I took some really great frames from her again. So I'm really excited to get some of those done. But I did get another text from her later. She was like, Jen, a lot of these are not signed and dated. If they're not signed and dated, I'm not framing them. So I'm going to have to go back and do that. I don't always like to do that because you have to like think about placement and alphabets, and sometimes I feel like doing it and sometimes I don't. So those are my finishes. Got some things done. I've been working on like big things to try to like knock areas out. I've had this whole I have this vision for a rotation plan, but then I kept starting things, so I don't really know. I struggle a lot with trying to start something mid-year. So I just think I need it to be probably hash out my issues with a rotation plan and really go into it in January. But it's kind of like my process net was that I was going to count my stitches, and when I got to a certain stitch amount, I would switch projects, and it was about 1,000 stitches, which is a decent amount of stitching, and you see progress with 1,000 stitches. My problem is I have like 15, 16 big ass projects started, and 1,000 stitches on a big ass project just doesn't do it. You know, those BAPs, there's too much there to only be putting 1,000 stitches in when it comes in, at least for me, because I need some of these to be getting done. Otherwise, what I realized is I'm going to have them all finished at the same time, and that's gonna kill my budget if I'm going to try to frame them all. So I need to kind of space that out. So I decided, instead of doing a stitch count rotation, my plan is, and it has been working if I actually stick to it. I don't have any events in August, so it may actually work better, is to do a day-based rotation. And so what I did was I looked at, I do everything by size category. All my whips up there are listed by size. They're color-coded to do that. So I have a mini size category, small, medium, large, and big ass project. I use the formula that they use for Stitch from Stash, and it's basically you just add the stitch count together and divide it by 2. And so if it's a piece that is, for example, hold on, I have them all on my spreadsheet. So for example, the Great Pumpkin Conspiracy that I'm doing is 247 by 139. So when you do that, it comes out to 193. So I've taken, if it comes out to under 50, it's classified as a mini. If it comes out between 50 and 99, it's going to be a small. From 100 to 149 is a medium, I believe. And then from 150 to 250 is large, and then above 250 is big ass project for me. I believe that's how. Yeah, that's how my breakdown goes. So what I decided was I would do a day for a mini, because really, honestly, I should be able to knock out a mini in a day if that's the only thing I'm stitching on. And if I don't find it, but it's just not going to come back, it's not going to stay out multiple days, which it should just spark me to try to get it done. Then a small would get 2 days, medium 3 days, large 4, babs 5. And that actually was working really well, because it was giving me enough time to kind of go, oh, there's one project that I don't have out here. Brandon. I swear he's going to divorce me. Brandon.
I can't hear you.
He's got a cat laying on him. Is it Porter?
Yeah.
She's moving. I need my pandemic sampler. It's on the shelf over there. I don't need it right now, but if you can get up at some point and grab it for me, that would be amazing. So what have I been stitching? That's kind of, I think that will work for me. And 5 days I really can get a lot done if I'm focused. I don't know if I was doing the 5-day thing or the day thing when I was working on this, but this was one of the things that I was working on that I pulled out. I started this for my birthday this year, the Choose Your Own Motto sampler by Heartstring. All I'm saying is you've never seen me crying and eating tacos at the same time. It should be on that bookshelf. This is where I am on this one. There's a lot of color changes in this one too. So I didn't get as far as I thought I would, but I love it. That flower, like, it's so vintagey. I love the border on it. This is on a 40 count. I think it's Starflower by Lakeside Linens. And yeah, I'm excited to work on this again. It'll free up a lot of colors once I get through it. And you'll understand my desire right now. I really want to like free up colors. You'll understand when I show you. It should be in a project bag, Brand.
I have an empty project bag here.
Does it have numbers on it?
It has a magnet board in it.
Please hold.
Rabbits.
Huh?
It's rabbits.
No. I'm gonna need to get, I will be right back. This will all be cut out. You won't know that this happened.
Also, those are from letters.
Okay, I'm back. We did find the missing project that was causing me a little panic. So, yeah, I'm trying to clear up some colors for pandemic. I stitched some on Emily's house. I love the saying on it, speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. So I spent a bunch of time on this one. I think I only had like a couple of the borders. I realized after I started, Brethren Blue is like one of my favorite colors, and for some reason I just started using the DMC for the flowers instead of Brethren Blue. I don't know why. So I was a little bummed about that, but not bummed enough to like tear them out and start over. So otherwise I'm really happy with it. It's a 36 count maybe maple sugar by Lakeside. I pulled out Serenity Harbor. This is a biggie, and it was one of the ones that it's like I need a good solid chunk done on it. I actually got quite a bit done. This was 5 days worth when I did it. So I had up to about there done, maybe like there. I had some of the birds done, not all of them. This is 40 count lamb's wool. It's very see-through when there's nothing behind it, so I'm a little nervous, but the full coverage section should be fine. I love the coverage on the lamb's wool. I really do love this. I decided not to trim this. Normally I don't work with like that much fabric on the side, but I decided not to trim it because I didn't want to cut it crooked since it goes on forever. And this one, it just surprises me that I wanted to stitch this because I don't really like pink. Like pink is just one of those colors that sometimes calls to me and sometimes doesn't. I love that pattern though, so. Another one that got some good time. I mentioned Laura that sent me the patterns that we decided to do a Sal. So we actually decided to start Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow because I need another big ass project. And that is this. And we both had it in our stash and we're just like, we just need to do this. So we've decided we're gonna do a block a month. We were gonna start it July 1st. And then we started talking and like looking at fabric and colors and we're like, can we start sooner? So we decided to start June 1st. And I'm glad we did because I'm really enjoying it. I am doing this on a piece of 40 count, I think it's called Purely, something primitive. I believe it's a silk weaver. But it was on a Zweigart base. I just had a Zweigart tag when I found it. I am doing a color conversion for this. So, and I'm doing a stash color conversion, so things are definitely not perfect. But I'm really liking it so far. I had to tear out those doors like 1,000 times because the color that they're charted in is the same as this house here, and it was somehow wasn't giving me a distinct enough variegation there. So then I thought I would use the color that the roofs are, but it didn't look right. So I ended up changing it. I'm happy with that. But yeah, I like it so far. There are supposed to be spider webs in the corners. Those will get in, but I didn't want to, because I roll my project as I go, I didn't want to constantly be messing with them. So I will stitch those at the end. I plan next month to go down. So this block is the Undersea, the shipwreck one. So that will be my July block that I will be starting to work on July 1st. And working on until it is done. I love this fabric. It's kind of like...
What are you starting on July 1st?
I'm starting that on August 1st because it is July already. Thank you, Brandon Lee. At some point during the month, last several, I worked on Ghoultide Welcome because it's another one that just is gonna sit forever if I don't actually work on it. So I am working on filling in that house because it's a beast. And I don't know if this one was, I don't know if I was doing the rotation or not. I mean, I could look and tell you, but I don't think any of you really care enough either, so. Not that you don't care. I wasn't done talking about Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I told you I was doing a stash conversion for it. So these were the colors that I used. I just pulled them for the first block. And then these are the rest of the colors that I'll be using. And I have some are just DMC that I'm gonna be using. I pulled all the DMC first, but there's a lot of like solid chunks of color that I wanted some variegation on. I decided though for the next block with this water, and I'm hoping do that one. I'm hoping that I like it when I do it. I'm gonna stitch the water sections with the blue because I love that variegation. I love the progression, and I was like, I don't think with stash I'm gonna be able to emulate that well enough. I still don't really trust my color sense, so I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm getting more confident in my ability, but I still struggle. I pulled this out. Prairie Moon Merry Xmas. This pattern is going to Marcy when it's done. This pattern I talked about it on my Instagram. When I've grown up around cross stitch. Something I've done, you know, my mom owned a shop. It's just always been part of my life. I didn't really embrace cross stitch as part of like my decor and something that I wanted to have around my house until I got with Brandon. And it started with me stitching him things. So I stitched a little Mario and the princess thing when we first started dating, and then Zelda because 8-bit just translates great to cross stitch. And then I would download like the vintage free, you know, copyright patterns, and did that for a while. And then this was the pattern that I found in a store in Virginia that was like, oh, I could have this stuff in my house, like things that I actually want to buy and stitch. So I bought it 10 years ago almost, or probably pretty close to 10. And I've had it and I've never stitched it. And I was like, I need to stitch this. So I meant to look and see what the fabric is. So I'm going to just pull that so I know. Oh, that's not going to help because it just says 32 count mystery. Well, it's a pen tag. I struggled with it because I wanted to, I love the background, I love the fabric on it, but it's called to be stitched with Thunderstorm by Zweigart, and I couldn't find it. I mean, the pattern was 2009, so it was gonna be, I just couldn't find it. So I ended up getting this piece, and it's just a standard, it's a color, like it's a bluish. I'm really happy with how the colors are popping on it, and I feel like it's letting the variegation of the thread really show through a lot. One thing that I did not realize is that her dress is actually pink. Like looking at this, you can't really tell. And then like even on her, like here, you can kind of tell it's pink, because I was like, do I want to stitch it? So I pulled out the fabric or the thread. It's very pink. It's Cotton Candy by Classic Colorworks Belsois. But I really like how it's coming on the thing, because I'm using, it's 32 count. This is the project I said I'm using one strand, and it's the silk, so I'm really happy with the coverage. There are so many 3/4 stitches in this. So many. But yeah, I'm really liking how it's looking. I stopped midday and was like, I'm done. I have to go back and count where I was. So my count sometimes isn't always right because I forget to go back and add it. I had a new start. We got the kittens, and I decided I should start something to commemorate the fact that we got kittens. So I started Rampant Cat Sampler by Barbara Anna. I had this kitted up. It was one of the ones that I wanted to start in March for Madness, and then I failed at Madness, so I didn't get it started, but I did it now. So this is my start on that. I've worked on it 2 or 3 days, but the kittens have been distracting. The one issue is I'm stitching it on 40 count purled barley, and there's a couple of the colors that were supposed to be like blended fabric, or it's all called for DMC. I keep saying fabric instead of floss. Blended floss, and with 40 count I only wanted to use one strand, so I am subbing in overdyed fancy floss for those, and one of them is this up here, and I haven't decided if I feel like it's too light or if I like it. It's gonna be the fill-in around the bowl and then in the date as well, but if you look at the pattern, it's very light on the pattern too. Like you can barely see that it's there. So I don't know. I don't want it to be overpowering. So I may keep it, or I may just do one of the two colors that are supposed to be blended, because they're, I think it's 822 and 644. So they're fairly close anyway. So we'll see. And then my other piece that has just, I want to work on it all of the time. And the reason why I just want to finish some of my patterns and get my floss more regulated, like return floss to my overflow, is Pandemic. So those of you that know, Long Dog released Pandemic as a freebie for a week, and it's a massive chart, just like her normal charts are. And there were a bunch of people saying they were going to start it, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm just starting it. I've got to do it. It's huge. I only had 2 pieces of fabric that I could choose from in my stash, and I had figured that it would be on a 40 count, but I really liked my 36 count option, so it is going to be massive. Like, I think I have a yard of this fabric, or a half yard, I don't know. I have a lot of this fabric. It was a big cut, and it's taking most of it. So I worked on this for 5 days and did not want to put it away. I am so happy with how it is turning out. I am emulating Emily's vision of her death by cross stitch. Those of you that have watched me know that I started death by cross stitch trying to emulate Emily with my grandmother's threads, and it was a total disaster for me. And I said, no, I can't do this. I can't do it. But I decided I wanted to give it a go. And the reasoning that I wanted to do it this time was this. I'm already working on Life After Death. It's a monochromatic piece right now. So I really wanted to try something of hers with changing colors up. I am doing as the border color, it is 934 DMC. So pretty much anywhere that you're gonna see just like a border separating motifs is gonna be that 934. And then inside, I am just pulling stash as I go. So I have my basket of fancy floss, some of it's DMC, that I'm just gonna pull, and I'm just gonna try to hopefully get it to look right. So far, again, I'm happy, but I keep tearing out if I'm not. So I will give it a little bit of time, couple thread lengths, and then I'm like, nope, changing that color out. I started to say, another reason that I didn't want to do this came out during the pandemic. I wanted to remember being home and not having things readily available, and having to kind of make do, and maybe not being able to just go to the grocery store and get what I wanted, and go to the craft store and craft gallery and pick out the specific threads, and having to use what I had on stash, had available right here. And so I really wanted this piece to remind me of that. So that was the other reason why I said I'm gonna do it this way. So this is a piece of 36 count pear. The only thread I'm buying for it is that 934 if I need it, just so it has that consistency through. I did have a couple skeins in my stash, but I went out and bought like all fresh just because I wanted to make sure dye lot was okay. But guys, I just could look at it all day, and I just want to keep stitching on it. 36 count, I just think I love stitching on 40. I love stitching on this 36 count. I didn't think I would be a person that would switch to 36 count, but I just love the way the stitches lay. I'm using one strand, but look, I mean, the piece of fabric is huge. So it's like a blanket when I'm sitting there. This and his eyes on the sparrow. It's like, oh, needs to be cold when I need to work on this. I did, as I was going through, like in here, this section, you can see that some of the motifs have the same color. So like all the squirrels I ended up doing with the same color thread. And I'm gonna gauge that with the different motifs. Some people on my Instagram asked if I would share what colors I'm using. I will at the end. I'm keeping a running record of it. Part of it is me. I don't wanna see somebody use my start, which is fine. I will definitely share it. But then I don't want to feel like then I have to do what they're doing, like if they get ahead of me, because I don't know, this is going to be a long process for me. And I know that I tend to gravitate towards things that I see that I like, then I want to do them that way. And I just want this to kind of be my process. So I will release it all when I'm finished. It's all stash. I have most of them. Some of them are limiteds though that don't have what they are. Most of them I have. That's what I've been stitching. Like I said, stitching has definitely been my calm again. The kittens kind of put a damper on that. I did not stitch yesterday, but that was because my mom was over talking about 24 hours and had to get ready for that. I'm gonna have to spend some time getting I still have to pull fabric for my Prairie Schooler Santas. So we were originally I wanted to stitch all of mine on autumn gold, and then my mom was going to do hers on something else so that when you looked at the tree you could see clearly which ones were ones that I stitched and which ones were ones that my mom stitched. But I good luck finding autumn gold right now. So it just was too hard to try to make that happen in a short period of time. So I'm going to kind of dig through stash, and we're going to have them be, instead of they're just going to be all different fabrics, which I think will look really nice on a tree. So, yeah. I don't know if Brandon's going to be joining in. He actually got a new job and he's going to be starting we think next week. So he hasn't heard specific start dates yet, but he will be doing that. So he'll be here. Maybe you'll see him. I think I'm going to stop because it's going to hurt me a lot if this doesn't actually take and we can't actually use this footage. So I'm hoping, and fingers are crossed, that everything is going to go well and he can get it all together for us. So it's been good being back and talking with you guys. I have missed that. I'm hoping to make this more regular. Bear with me. You do. You guys are great. If you're joining in with 24 hours, let me know. Again, check out the Facebook group, and we love to see what you guys are stitching during it. So if you're on Instagram, use the hashtags, hashtag 24HOCS or 24 hours of cross stitch, and yeah. So keep making those X's, and I will be back with you guys this weekend. I mean, it's like I don't film forever, but then I film 2 in a week. So you'll see a lot of me. Bye, guys.